Hi, and welcome back to M1 Yarns and the Michigan Makers podcast. I'm Jamie, the dyer behind m1yarns.com. And if you're new here, welcome. This is a knitting related podcast. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks so much. I always forget to say this, but I do try my best to put details like show notes and all that good stuff in the description box below regarding what I'm talking about, the yarn, the pattern, all that good stuff. So let me just say that off the top. Now, I have a cocktail today because number one, it's 5 o'clock here. It may not be 5 o'clock when you're watching this, but I fully endorse a cocktail, especially if you're a tight knitter. So, cheers. I felt like this episode, normally I have like coffee or tea, something very benign, but we have some drama to discuss. And I felt like sometimes it's best to meet a friend for a drink, and then you can talk about that drama. And so that's what we're going to do today. So if you watched the last episode, I talked about my goals of finishing some whips and moving towards my Rhinebeck sweaters for the New York Sheep and Wool Festival in October of this year. And I will give you the full update. But I have a couple like self-deprecating stories to tell you about today. So if you are in need of a good laugh, or if you sometimes feel like your goof ups with your knitting is just you. No, it's not. I make some of the dumbest mistakes, and we're gonna laugh at me today. I don't even know what to say about this. My dad used to have a phrase. My dad's been deceased for a number of years now, so I can't call him up and ask him exactly what it was because I can't remember. But it had something to do with his poor planning and preparation. If you know the phrase, let me know. I don't know. He was in the Air Force, so I don't know if it was like a military kind of saying, but this is definitely a tale of piss poor planning. And let me just tell you, okay, so I've already, if you've been around here, you know that I've knit one of my Rhinebeck sweaters. I plan to make 3. I am in the middle of knitting my second one, which we will get to. And I was preparing to cast on the third, which is, or should I say was, the Varma. I'll insert a photo. Now, a lot of you commented that I am crazy for thinking that this is going to be one of my Rhinebeck sweaters because it could be blazing hot and I'd be wearing this heavy, like long, basically coat. And you're right, but it could turn out to be a blizzard. I mean, it's upstate New York in mid to late October. So we shall see. But this is what I wanted to make because I thought it was amazing. It was a recently released pattern, and I was here for it. So Ravelry lists it as a bulky pattern. It also says that it's made with plotalopi held double to achieve that gauge. Now, I didn't want to use plotalopi, number one, because I'm a yarn dyer and I wanted to dye my own yarn and achieve exactly the colors that I wanted for this cardigan. And number two, because plotalopi is quite itchy and I am quite sensitive and I wasn't feeling it. So I thought, no worries, I'll just order some bulky yarn, dye it to, my specs and move forward, which I did. So let me show you the yarn. It's supposed to be one main color, which is like this, I don't know, a deep moody purple, I decided, for the main color, which in the photo looks like a charcoal gray. and then 4 contrast colors. So I had this yarn left over from another project, and if I hold it double, I will get gauge. And this colorway is Harvest. So that was going to be one of mine, and then I thought these 3 would be my others. One undyed, like a medium brown, a darker brown, and then again my main color, and then this. So this would be kind of my palette. So, as you do before you cast on, you buy the pattern, and I like to print my patterns. So I printed it, and I was going to read through it in its entirety and highlight my size and all that good stuff. And then I realized, now let me put the picture back up on the screen here. What you can't tell, or maybe I couldn't, after looking at this photo at least 20 times, is that there's a fade. So when you're holding the Plotalopi doubled, you're holding like 2 strands of one color and then dropping 1 strand and then adding in 1 strand of the next color and then dropping that, adding in another strand of the second color, and then so on and so forth. Well, I can't do that with bulky yarn. So I realized I kind of shot myself in the foot. And thus the drink. So I can't use that yarn for this project, which after I had a mini meltdown, I said, okay, you know what? Let's find another pattern that I can use that yarn for, and then I will find new yarn to dye that is the gauge of the Plotalopi, and I can get my fade done. So I've just ordered the yarn for that. I'm excited. That being said, I think it might have been the universe's way of saying, Jamie, do not make that long cardigan for Rhinebeck. Make it in the winter just to make it. And so I looked on Ravelry for another cardigan, because I really had my mind set on a cardigan that uses 1 main color and 1, 2, 3, 4 contrast colors. That's bulky, and wouldn't you know, I had one in my queue. And I'll insert a photo here. It's the Laura jacket, and this one is actually knit top down, which is my preference. And because it's bulky, it's gonna go so fast. So I don't really feel like I have to cast this on for I'd probably cast it on like mid-September. So that's going to be set to the side. Meantime, I said this week that I was going to make a dent in some of my languishing whips. And I did. Oh, I just realized I haven't talked about what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Anker tee by Petite Knit. This is a kit in my shop. I actually think I only have a few more kits. So if you're interested, check my website. This was a sample knit for me by my friend Nadia, who did an absolutely stunning job. I mean, her stitches are just flawless. And I love this, and I love that the design of this, if you're not familiar, has like this subtle ribbing in the yoke, and then the rest of the body is stockinette. And I just love this. I think it's a really classic design that you can dress up or down, which I just love. So, are you ready for another good self-deprecating story? Last episode, I told you that I had knit this mitt, this one. It is the Oaktober mitt by Monika something. I apologize, it escapes me, but I'll list it below. This is a kit on my website. You can either get this main color with this chocolatey brown, or the same main color with like a bluish black. And all I needed to do was knit the second mitt. So this was the second mitt that was in progress last episode. I think I was like right about here. Now, while I was knitting this, I did not compare it to the first mitt. And I did not really like check my gauge of this at all until I bound off. And when I went to block it, I said, wow, my second mitt is way bigger than my first one. What went wrong? And I really thought I was losing my mind. Like, wow, was I so relaxed on this one and so tense on this one? Could not figure it out. So I went back to my project bag, and in my project bag were multiple needles. And I just did not write down which needle I was using, and apparently grabbed the wrong one. So after kicking myself and a lot of swearing, I said, okay, this one will be for some larger one-handed person, and I will make a third mitt that actually is the right size with the right needle. So luckily each mitt only takes about 2.5 evenings for me to knit. So I was able to pretty easily bang that out, so that this is going to be a sample for my booth at the next couple fiber festivals I'm vending at, which the next one, if you're watching this the day I'm going to release this episode, Saturday, July 29th, I will be at the Sandhill Crane Winery in Jackson, Michigan. It's a one-day fiber festival. And then I'll be in Allegan in mid-August for the Michigan Fiber Festival. But if you're not in Michigan, you can find this kit on my website. So I'm really excited about these because, number one, they're DK, super fast to knit, super portable for like a nice, car knitting or, wherever you go type of project. And if you knit them now, you'll have them ready for when it gets cooler out. And I just love that color work. So that is now done, and with a bonus mitt. So if anyone knows of someone with one hand that is large, I'd be willing to give this to them. Just saying. So that was pretty funny. The other project that I really wanted to get done, especially so I could have it as a sample in my booth at these fiber festivals, is the Rad Plaid Cardigan by Andrea Mowery. And this is a kit in my shop, and it uses one strand of, every time I record, my dog kicks the tripod without fail. So there you go. One strand of Surrey alpaca, which for me was this wine color. One strand of fingering, which for me is this like gold kind of color. And then one strand of hand spun, which I used something left over from another project. And the yarn is Feederbrook Farm Entropy. And so the kits in my shop have the alpaca and the fingering, and then you can basically pair it either with your own hand spun, or I think I have on the listing in my shop a variety of recommended hand spun yarns, in addition to like spin cycle yarns. But I think I featured a few other like smaller makers so that you can support someone maybe a little less known. So this cowl is super soft. I'm not going to put it on right now, because it's a little bit warm in here. But I'm going to try to take some finished object photos today. And so if I get a good one, I will insert a photo. So that is off the needles and in the shop. And I'm excited. Now I've got 2 whips done. So the other whip that I was telling you that really needs some attention because it has been on the needles for like well over a year. And this week I made some real progress. This is the Seaglass tee by Woolen Pine, and I have separated for the sleeves now. So I think I feel like I have like 8 million string. These are SOS cords in my shop, if you're not familiar. They're like stitch holder cords. I have a whole YouTube video about how to use them if you've never seen these, but this is way better than scrap yarn for putting stitches on hold. So I've just separated for the sleeves. I only have that much of the body done, but as you can see, this is like 1 by 1 color work. I think my gauge was a little bit tighter right here. I'm hoping that will block out. Yeah, so now that I've separated for the sleeves, I feel like it's gonna go really fast. I would like to finish this really, really soon, probably like by the end of August if I do a little bit here and there. But I'm glad that I have finally kind of gotten back into a groove with it. I think a lot of what it was is like, if you tell yourself that something is going to be annoying or difficult or whatever, and any negative, it will be because your brain is like believing this lie that you're telling it. And I just kind of had to put my big girl panties on and say, finish these projects. Let's make progress, and it will relieve some of the anxiety that I tend to feel if I've got too many balls in the air. So, we're cruising. The other project that I promised earlier I would talk about, that I've made some progress on since last time, is one of my Rhinebeck sweaters. This is Spark by Andrea Mowery. It's a steeked cardigan. And this column of lines right here is where I'm going to cut the fabric open when it's done. But last episode, I only had some of the ribbing on this hem done. And now I've got the main chart of the color work done. And now I'm just kind of knitting up the torso. I absolutely love this. This is a joy to knit, even though it's bottom up, which I'm not a huge fan of. The pattern initially looked super overwhelming to me. Even me, like I've been knitting for years. Nothing should really overwhelm me at this point, I like to tell myself, but I think that's pretty egotistical. But when I broke it down like one step at a time, it really became super doable and very enjoyable. So this yarn, let me set my project bag over there because it's just huge. This yarn is a combination of the main color, which is my Silver Fox colorway on, oh, this is worsted weight. So this is my middle of the road base. And then the contrast color is, I did this last episode. It's Primrose Yarn Company. The colorway is Fig, and it's the Homestead Sport base. So, yeah, we're cruising. I think that I should be able to meet my goal of finishing this by, like, let's say mid to late August. So if I finish this during the month of August, and then I knit my other Rhinebeck cardigan, the one I showed you in the beginning, for the month of September, I will be really well off for preparing for Rhinebeck. However, I just realized that during August, I also need to knit 2 other small projects that I have little deadlines for. So, you guys, I totally forgot. I have a list of things I wanted to talk about in this episode, but the knit along, the tee off spring make along finished like 10 days ago, and I need to announce the winners. Oh my gosh. Hold that thought just a second. Okay, so I had totally had this ready and then totally forgot about it, so I apologize. I really hope that these people are still watching if you watch. But okay, so the rules of the make along were, just to recap, you could knit or crochet any tee or tank. We just didn't want long sleeves. And then you could either post to Instagram using this hashtag, or you could post a photo of your project, whether it's finished or a work in progress, in the Ravelry community forum for the podcast, which is linked below. And I picked a winner from each category. So one from Ravelry and one from Instagram, so that, you know, there was like all my bases were covered. Okay, so on Ravelry, and I'm going to insert a photo of the winning projects. On Ravelry, the username is LMECOLL. I'll put it on the screen. And she posted a photo of a dappled lace raglan. Isn't this gorgeous? So if you would message me on Ravelry, or you can email me m1yarnsinfo@gmail.com with your name and address. I don't want any money. So if if you're ever like solicited by some scam email, I never ask for money. If you want to give me your money, you can place an order on my website. But for this giveaway, it's my gift to you that I'm going to mail you some goodies. And all I need is your name and address. And then the winner from Instagram is One Shoe Katie, who posted a gorgeous tank called the Mile Road tank. And if you would also email me, or you can message me on Instagram, and I will get you your prize. So thank you to everyone who joined this make along. This was really fun. This was the second time that we've done this spring / early summer tee off spring make along, and I think it's a really good way to kind of get thinking outside the box, that knits or crochet projects are not just hats, mittens, and heavy sweaters. You can also knit a tank. You can also crochet a bralette, or like there's a million things. So this was really fun. So that being said, I think we need a new make along. So I was thinking, let's do something bite size. Really easy, depending on which pattern you pick. But let's do like a fall hat make along, where you can, again, knit or crochet any hat pattern for, whether it's baby or adult, and post your whip and or finished object photos to Instagram and to a Ravelry forum, which I will create a little page under my podcast page. I've got to think of a hashtag. I think I thought of one the other day, and I've got to find if I wrote it down. Anyway, so that'll be the next make along for the podcast. So again, thank you to everyone for joining in. I love coordinating make alongs and seeing what everybody makes and posts using the hashtag or in the forum. It's really great, and it's a great way to build community. So I think that's all I have for you today. I better make this quick because I have to get ready to pack for this fiber festival I'm vending at this weekend. So I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you on the next episode.